Alright guys, here we are again, and I had a question, kind of a request to expand a little bit about some of the stuff we've been talking about in the past, particularly with regards to low bar placement. We talked a little bit about that with chewing up supinator and things like that, but someone has a specific question about, hey, why does my shoulder and my neck hurt when I'm doing low bar squats? So first, we have to address the mechanics of what's happening when we're doing a low bar squat and some of the shoulder repercussions. So if we're talking about a high bar squat and we're kind of up in that C6, C7 range, not as much of an impact on the shoulder, provided you have the external rotation to handle that position. When we go down into low bar and we're on that inferior edge of the upper traps, what tends to happen, as you see from the side, is look at my shoulder position. So that bar, as it's coming down into the low bar position, is pushing that shoulder into that forward position. So what's happening is, again, that glenohumeral joint, the bar pushing down, forcing it anterior. So the whole shoulder complex shifting forward under the weight of the low bar position. So, we need to think, again, scapular control. We need to start thinking about what to loosen, what to strengthen. Now, upper traps, particularly if you've got that bit of a shrug to try and stabilize it, not inherently a bad thing. We can get into a debate about if you shrug too high, are you then turning it into more of a high bar position? But we'll save that for another day. But if we want to loosen off upper trap, again, lacrosse ball, bang around, there'll be a bony prominence right there. It's the spine of your scapula, okay? Find that, roll up and off it, dig in, do your best impression of a bear scratching against a tree in the woods. So bear scratch the traps, get in there, loosen that off. Pec, we talked about last day, getting in there, externally rotating up with it pressed in against the wall. That'll help clean up some of that protraction. But what I see a lot as well is a lot of posterior capsule tightness as well. So, we almost want to go into what we call Hawkins-Kennedy position. It's almost an impingement stretch where we're kind of doing that position. That'll stretch out the posterior capsule. Now, we use it clinically to test for impingement at the front of the shoulder. But what you'll find sometimes is that if you get in that Hawkins position, or in strength and conditioning world, almost like a super stretch or a sleeper stretch, that type of arm adducted, forced internal rotation, it'll tend to refer some of that neck pain if you're getting it from the low bar squats. So this is a great one to kind of stretch that out, loosen off a bit of the capsule, because I used to find it would be almost this piece here would feel quite tight, and this was actually quite relieving. And play around with the positions here too. So I've got my forearm pronated, pressing down, try supinated, try neutral. Okay, play around with that. See what reproduces your tension the most. If you're getting pain at the front of the shoulder, we might be thinking more impingement. Again, it's a clinical diagnostic. If it's more back here, it would technically be a negative Hawkins test, but it would be more that posterior capsule, which is what I would be doing it for in a low bar position. Now, the other things we have to think about is external rotation. Obviously, if we're trying to loosen things off here, we want to get the external rotators going. So basic dumbbell work, but always think scapular control with this stuff. So if we're going into external rotation, try not to let the elbow drop down. You almost want to picture a piece of string pulling up on the elbow the whole time. So again, easy tempo. And the whole time I'm doing this, I've got my shoulder blades ideally set. Now, if you want to make that more difficult, up, slight press, down. Now, as I press up, I'm letting go of some of that scapular control. So if our humerus wants to go above 90 degrees, that shoulder blade is going to have to swing out a little bit to accommodate. For every 120 degrees of abduction, you need about 60 of that to come from your shoulder blade. So if we're thinking a full 180, about a third of that's going to have to come from that shoulder blade rotating out as well. Now, Other options for external rotation, more EMG activation shown, closed chain position. Okay, doing it that way. More infraspinatus activity, a little easier to cue, but if you want to advance it up and you've already got good control, think this position, open chain, externally rotate, slight presses. Again, really light with this stuff. This is just more for low level strength and activation when you're in that low bar position. So give that stuff a try, particularly if you're getting that shoulder ache, that anterior neck pain. The other thing, again, when we're talking low bar positions is, I mean, in a perfect world, everything's tight and neutral. In reality, when that bar is pressing down, we're going to pitch forward slightly more than in a low bar position, than in a high bar position. You know, high bar, we're a little more vertical. So as we pitch forward from the low bar, that neck's going to tend to come out a bit too. And again, that's a similarly compounding effect to that shoulder being relocated forward into that posterior to anterior position. So going back to some Kelly Starrett's work, you know, we want to loosen off scalenes, SCM, the kind of anterior bunch there. Pop that into your neck, come down into almost your shot put position, twist, look up and away. That'll clean up some of your scalenes, so push, twist, look up and away. If you want more SCM, which is this kind of big one that runs from the mastoid behind the ear down to the collarbone area here. Okay, we're going to start same position, twist, but as we come up, we're going to look towards the side that the ball's on. So in, twist, look up and towards. So two options there to clean up all your anterior neck bits, loosen the pec, get into the trap, strengthen your rotators, and think about positioning too. You know, just because you're in a low bar position doesn't mean that you get to negate your cervical spine posture. So think chin up. Even if you are pitched forward, it's okay to stare a bit at the ground. You know, starting strength, rip toe will have you look about 6 to 8 feet in front, just for that cervical alignment. So give that stuff a try, clean up a bit of that shoulder stuff, and hopefully it helps you with your low bars. Cheers, guys.